So thanks for turning out again on a Thursday. Nice to see you all. Cribben's gone straight in for the kill with a message saying, "Are you going to speak about death today?" Oh, thanks, Cribben. Yeah, lovely. Let's start on a high note, shall we? We start with laughing in the face of death. Yeah. Well, death is still the taboo, isn't it? Used to be sex, but death has still maintained its taboo status pretty much. And of course, for me, death is the ultimate fear. It's the fear that underlies all other fears. There is one fear that's worse than death for me, and that's non-existence, annihilation. That's worse. But generally, most selves don't consider that. They just consider death. And so, to avoid the fear of death, what most human beings do is spend life considering death as something separate from life. So life and death, life separate from death, death something other than life. Well, it might just become obvious that death is an ever-present. Death isn't somewhere else. That this is always born and always dies simultaneously. There isn't a beginning and an end. And of course, for me, for the self, for me to have a sense of continuation, to have my life, I was born, I am living, and I fear my end, the end of me. That's not actually how life is. I know it's very convincing. It's totally convincing for me that I've had a life before, up until now, and I've seen other human beings die, or even if I haven't seen it, I've heard about it, and so I will die. I'm going to die sometime in the future. Now, of course, in the story, that's all true. But it is just a story. So my death in an imagined future, of course, is just a story. Death isn't somewhere else. Birth isn't somewhere else. Birth and death are not events in life. They are synonymous with life. And I'm not saying, this isn't, it may sound ridiculous, but I'm not saying human beings don't die. Of course bodies die. It's evident. It's obvious. But what doesn't die is me. It's very simple. I mean, it's outrageously simple why me doesn't die, because me isn't in the first place. Of course, I have to be alive to die. And the whole of this message is that you're not. There's just life. And if death isn't separate from life, what is there to be feared? And of course, what self does is it, because death, I can't imagine my death. I can't imagine not being here. I can't imagine not being present. I can't imagine my non-existence. And so I fantasize about what happens to me when this body dies. And of course, that's generally what spirituality and religion is all about, giving hope of what might happen, or actually convincing you with a convincing story that others seem to really be convinced by, that me can continue after the body dies. And if you think of religion, that's really what religion is all about. Because at the core of self is a fear of death. And beneath the fear of death is a fear of non-existence, of annihilation. And the wonder of this message, why it's so beautiful, is it's saying there isn't a me that is living. So there isn't a me that could die. And strangely, it may not sound compassionate, but it's hugely compassionate, because then there's just natural compassion for every human being and their innate, obvious humanness, their fragility. And paradoxically, in the timeless, then there's compassion for the relative life that each human being lives. It's much more compassionate than making up fairy stories about what we hope will happen when the body dies. It may become really, or it just may be obvious that all of that, everything you've ever been told about death, is just fantasy. I mean, it's pure fantasy. This is kind of a grown-up message. A grown-up message for no one. But rather than believing the fairy stories, all in an imagined future. So the appearance that things are born, including human beings, they grow and develop, they mature, and then they start to decay and decline and then die. This isn't a denial of that at all. That is the appearance. It's undeniable. All this message has to say is there isn't a you, there isn't me inside. And that's all the fear is for me. It isn't really for the human being. It's the obsession with self, being self-obsessed about my life, and the necessity that I continue even after the body dies. Freedom from that is one of the reasons that we can call this liberation. That life is already liberated. It isn't a liberation for you in any way, but it is some liberation for the human being. Not freedom from pain, not freedom from the bodily decay, not freedom from all the apparent happenings of life. Not freedom from that. Freedom for that to be as it is. Not in conflict with it. By saying that I can't stand the thought of my own death, me is always in conflict with life. Direct conflict. By being totally self-absorbed, self-centered, self-conscious, self-aware. All of those things that me holds most precious. All those most convincing illusions. I could say one more thing about death. I mean, it might also be obvious that me dies every night in deep sleep. And the longing and the bliss of deep sleep, that complete absence, that complete emptiness, that alone might quell any fears about death. The fact that it happens on a daily basis. Because what more could death be than complete absence, emptiness, utter, total? And that's not a mystery. That's not a mystery to a human being. Every human being knows it all too well. And there's a great irony in that most human beings fear death terribly and yet long for sleep. And I love the phrase, rest in peace. If anyone asked me the motivation for speaking about that, it would be RIP. May you RIP. Yeah. So there we are, as a self, longing for our absence and fearing it intensely with terror. And the message is there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. Of course not. Of course not. Deep sleep, absolute rest, bliss, unknowable, unknown bliss. There we go. So that's my take on death.
Joseph has his hand up, Tim.
Hey.
Joey, did
yes,
you say?
Sir.
Go on, Joey.
Yeah, I just want to share something that happened a long time ago with me, and I feel it's appropriate.
Yeah, go on.
I came back from Tony's. I saw him in Ireland in the residential that he did. And I came back one day and I went out running. And I was in the park, I was running. And then the sky and the earth and the grass and the pavement and everything, it just all melted together. Just everything melted into this one thing. And it was very, and then the people were that too. It was very strange. It was like a bit matrixy, but it was just like all one thing. It all melted into this one apparent thing. It was,
You really shouldn't take acid before you run.
no, I don't need to. I don't know what would happen if I do. But anyways, and then the thought came in like, oh, you know, look at these people. They think they're people. Oh, isn't that so funny? And I said, wait a second. If they think they're people and they're not, I'm not. And then all of a sudden there was no one here. And this thing finished running, went home, made breakfast, washed the dishes, took a shower. And then when I was like 5 or 6 years old as a kid, I would get these not frequent, but every once in a while, panic attacks. It lasts about 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Where I say I don't want to die, but actually what I couldn't imagine what it would be like without the sense of I. Non-being was what I was fearing. You know, I'm not going to be there at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, this would come on every once in a while. But when there was no one in here, all of a sudden something wanted to have a choice. Because I was seeing that there was no choice, and something wanted to have a choice, and zoom, my whole entire body was filled with this fear.
Yeah.
I was seeing at that time, it was the same exact fear, the same exact thing that when I was a little kid that I would have, just feel, And it went from my pinky toe up to the top of my head, completely filled up my body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good story. Good story, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing all of us, there aren't any of you here who haven't had whatever we want to call those awakening experiences. I think that's what generally they're termed. Just when, and they can be profound, but they're only that profound in contrast to me. You know, the reason they're so spectacular and, you know, we remember them so much is because it's the absence of fear. The absence of fear is, I'm not sure about the word bliss. I'm really not too sure about that. But I guess here the understanding of it, or the sense of it, is that there is just bliss without fear. Don't get me wrong, there's different kinds of fear. I mean my fear for me, existential fear. You know, the big shit that hits you in the middle of the night when you least expect it, that one. I don't mean fear of, you know, I haven't paid the electric bill. There is fear in that. But yeah, I'm not going to non-exist from that.
It feels like to me that ever since then, or no, I don't know if ever since then, but it's like this it's like I'm constantly, I feel like I'm doing it, but I feel like I'm like a locomotive and always putting the coal on the fire, like constantly fueling it, you know?
Yeah.
It's always in the forward moving, grabbing to something, moving something forward. It's a constant agitation that is just, it needs to be fed. It's a never ending dragon. It's just constantly like hungry. And it's a forward moving thing that you have to feed all the time.
Yeah, me is a beast, needs feeding. Darren, did you say someone else had a question?
No, that was it.
Thanks, Joey.
But if anyone wants to unmute and ask a question, they can as well.
Yes, I want to share. Hey, Tim. I have the feeling that this is completely clear. I could not say to me or for me, but it feels like, yeah, this is the end. And at the same time, my attention is very restless, very So there is a peace, I would say a gigantic peace, a borderless peace,
Yeah.
an all-encompassing peace, and a very restless Matt, I would say.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there isn't a way. There isn't a way it should be, or will be, or can be, Matt. It's just as it is. So if that's how it is, does it feel like so the piece is background and in the foreground there's Matt, or is it the other way around?
Other way around. Yeah. It's like Matt is a fearful character in me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's okay, Matt. Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah. The problem with, I mean, the biggest problem with this message is, of course, it doesn't give any solutions. If that's how it is, Matt, that is how it is. There is no, and there is. If Matt was to try and sort that out and work on whatever, if I was to give a suggestion of how you might, I don't know, work towards there just being the peace. But of course, the peace includes the agitation. Yes, there isn't the agitation isn't really separate from the peace.
It feels in a way that they do not touch each other. It's like two.
It may feel like that, but yeah, it's not really like that. Because that's that. I would suggest that's you not wanting the agitation. You know, I like the peace. I don't like the agitation. Well, they're not really separate. It's not really that one's in the foreground and one's in the background. That's just. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't know that. If it feels that way, Matt, that is how it feels. It's not right or wrong.
Okay, thanks, Tim.
I would also say, Matt, I don't know. This is maybe Tim's attempt to make Matt feel a little bit better. I wouldn't want Matt to think that there is an agitation quite often here for Tim. It's not mine. It's not mine. It's not yours, Matt. But why should agitation not appear? Why not? The only reason we say that agitation shouldn't appear is because we don't like it. It's that simple. Can't I just have
lively?
Can't I just have the peace and not the agitation, please?
Yeah.
Well, no, life couldn't give a shit whether Matt's peaceful or agitated.
Yeah.
Could it?
No. It feels very lively, actually. the agitation.
Yeah. I mean, when you're agitated, at least you might get something done. Whereas peace, you're just going to sit on your ass all day, Matt. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if there is just peace, you're going to find yourself doing very, very little indeed.
Yeah. I can now see that they're both the same thing. I can see it.
Yeah, I would say, and the feeling, I would say the sense that, you know, they're very separate, that they don't touch each other, is the desire for one and the rejection of the other.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
Well, so what? You don't want to? Yeah, there it is. No, really. So what? There it is.
Yeah. Who cares?
There it is.
Yeah.
And as nonsensical as it sounds, of course, the agitation is just as much love as the peace.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that's not, me's never going to have that self. I mean, that's why this message really stands out from most everything human beings have ever said, because it's always about making life better for me. And this message is saying, well, there isn't a me for life to be better, and there isn't a better or a worse life. Life is exactly as it is. I mean, it's beautiful with agitation, and it's beautiful with peace.
Yeah. So true.
And it's also beautiful with the rejection, and also it's beautiful with, I don't want that, and I just want that. That's beautiful too. You know, that's not rejected. You know, the judgment, because I was always looking to be, you know, a perfectly wonderful human being with no judgments, and well, how much more judgmental can you get of life than saying that you'll be, because you're rejecting judgment straight away as though it's a problem. It's not a problem.
Tim.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
In chat, Krista hasn't got any audio, but he asks, is fear a trick from the mind to keep itself separate?
Wow. I have no idea. Is it a trick of the mind? Well, first I would refute that there is a mind. That's the first thing I would say. I mean, have you tried finding a mind? Mind is just as elusive as self. And yet, of course, self claims mind as mine. I have, you know, it's my mind. I know my mind. I change my mind. I don't mind. So, but so they're both psychological illusions that we have taken, that human beings in conversation with each other have colluded together to say that they are absolute existent things, both mind and self. And it doesn't take much self-inquiry. I'm not a real advocate of self-inquiry, but it doesn't take much self-inquiry to look for yourself and find nothing, and look for your mind and find nothing. Self looking for self, mind looking for mind. Sorry, you're going to have to ask the question again now, because I've lost it completely, Darren.
It was, is fear a trick from the mind to keep itself separate?
Well, I wouldn't say from the mind, no. I would say fear is for me, isn't it? Not all of it. There is a base fear, what I'd call animal fear, instinctive fear, we could say. instinctive mammalian fear. We're mammals. A dog growls at us, and we have the adrenaline immediately kicks in. What we've done, because we have this illusion of self, is we've made danger everywhere. Right? Literally threats to my life everywhere, psychological threats to me. And they're the illusion. And of course, there's only one root cause of that illusion. The illusory fear is the illusory me. I'm afraid for myself. Of course I am. That's the root of all fear. Because I fear any loss, because the sense of self is don't get me wrong, it's really effective. It's effective in trying to keep me safe. So there can be compassion for this illusion of self. You may sob intensely with grief with compassion for self and all its efforts up till now to keep you safe. That's the nature of self. Self is self-preserving. Self-preservation is the program. And if the emptiness of self becomes obvious or is obvious, then there can be great compassion and mourning for that self who's only ever tried to keep you safe. Didn't need to. There is no safety. That's the only safety. The only security is that there is no security. Whereas for me, that's all I'm really seeking. I'm seeking security. That's what all the fear is when my security is threatened. So the fear keeps me safe, or that's what it's attempting to do. And the other great motivator for self is to be connected, to ease the pain of separation, the pain of loneliness, the pain of isolation, because it's tiny little me and I just long to be connected. But of course, me can't fulfill that longing because I am the separation. So what most human beings do all their lives is work to heal the separation when the actual self is the separation. So of course it's a futile attempt. With moments of bliss when you really connect with another human being, or with a rainbow, or with a dog, or with the clouds, or the sea, or a cat. And then momentary bliss when there is that, okay, there is the cat and me are not two. I mean, most human beings wouldn't term it like that, but that's the joy, that's the bliss. And then me comes back and goes, look, you've had enough of that. Now you need to get on with your job. And your job is sorting your life out. And your job is keeping yourself safe. So get an early night. Make sure you get up early for work tomorrow because you've got that assessment tomorrow. And the boss doesn't like me much anyway. And so there's the fear. The fear is straight back in. And they're the two, for me, I think they're the two drivers the great motivators for self-security and to ease the pain of separation, so connection. And of course, that connection can be escapism, so I'll escape from myself and my fears. I know full well, self is always well aware that there is no escape. So of course, there's always that, well, I'm doing it, I'm trying to escape, I'm trying to heal, I'm trying to feel better about myself, but I know I can't really. And so if there was a path that I was advocating, it would be hopelessness, it would be futility, it would be because while me has hope that it is failure would be a great path, abject failure, complete failure. Because while me is on a path of progress, moving forward, of course, as Joey said earlier, that's the fuel, that's fuel. And I only need a little bit of fuel to keep me going, to keep me going, to keep me going. But of course, I'm not advocating those. It just seems likely that if me feels successful, it can all blow up. I mean, there aren't any rules. You could have a very successful self and then boom, boom, it's gone. Could be. Most stories aren't like that. But the stories don't mean anything. Nobody wakes up. Nobody gets enlightened. Nobody gets liberated. Nobody gets to heaven. Nobody gets to hell. Nobody gets to nirvana. I'm trying to think of some other good places we could get to. No, nobody gets anywhere. Isn't that amazing? Rest. Whew, that's good. Glad that's over. Let's get on with it. Now it's over. Let's just get on with it. I'm guessing most of you have had the sense of when you've traveled, especially if there's somewhere you've been longing to go to and you get there. Oh no, maybe when you get back. So you've been somewhere, you've had a great time, and then you get back home. And then there's a memory of you imagining your holiday, and then you're back where you started. And it's, oh, so blindingly obvious you never went anywhere. There was no movement. There's never moved. This doesn't move. With all this wonderful movement, it's absolutely still, pristinely still and unmoving. The movement and the stillness are one and the same. The sound and the silence are not two. Birth and death, not two. This is not two, nor one. This message isn't about becoming one with everything. That's what I wanted. I will say, Tim the Seeker, that's what I was after. I don't know about you. That's what I was after. I was after Tim, me, being one with everything, especially God, of course, the big one. That's who I wanted to meet. And I didn't just want to meet him. I wanted to just melt into him, melt into a wondrous oneness. Well, I don't want to burst your bubble. I do, actually. I do want to burst your bubble. There isn't you to be at one with. And while there is one to be at one with another one, there we have, there we have the seeker's dilemma. I know there's not another. I know there's only whatever we want to call. I'm calling it this. By the way, it's not this, but I haven't got another word. I'm just calling it this for the sake of calling life something. I haven't got a clue. Don't think that I know shit about what I'm speaking. I don't. But while there's me and the one, oneness, wholeness, completeness that I could be one with, I'm off looking for it. And of course, I'm always also saying, I am not. I am separate. I'm not at peace because I need to find this. I need to heal this wound. There is this gaping wound. There is this huge wound that I feel. Even if I distract myself, there it is. I only have to be still for a little while, and there it is. There is no wound. But boy, it feels painful. That pain of the pain of being separate, the pain of being me. And of course, for some selves, it's more painful than others. That's very obvious. It's not painful for all. But I think the pain of separation and the longing that comes from that pain, from that hurt, from that, you know, if we want to be romantic about it, being thrown out of the Garden of Eden, that pain of knowledge and its self-knowledge, which is the pain, if I'm being romantic. I think virtually all human beings feel it to an extent, even if they wouldn't be able to articulate that, then I think it's felt. But for some selves, it's excruciatingly painful, and they can't help but say we can't help but want to heal that, looking for a solution. And who would have believed that the solution is that there isn't a solution? None is required. Wow. There is no need to heal me. There is no wounds. There is no, the scars are all illusory. The scars of separation, I mean. I don't mean emotional scars, of course. They're on the character. They're just as they are. But it's the end of blaming something. So is it my fault or is it his fault? Is it her fault or is it his fault? It's the end of that. It's no one's fault. There is no one. No blame, no guilt, no responsibility. And yet, of course, they appear just the same, but without my concrete sense of self, even responsibility, because there is a natural responsibility. Human beings naturally respond. That's really all the word means. But there isn't a someone who is responsible, but there is responsibility. It's just a natural responding, reacting. Now that is how it always is, without me claiming it. And without me claiming it, it has a lightness that is incomparable to when it was mine.
Yo, Tim.
Hi, who's speaking?
Actually, David had a question.
Hi, David. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Tim. Can you hear me?
Hi, Tim.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a couple of things, actually. One, maybe stating the obvious. What you're saying, perhaps, is in order to get anything, you have to be separate from it in the first place. And if there's no separation, by definition, you can't get it. It sounds very theoretical, but that's it, really, isn't it? Yeah,
even on a rational level, which this generally isn't rational.
Absolutely, it's very rational.
Even on a rational level, it would be impossible, wouldn't it?
Yes. And the other thing is just a kind of sharing thing. It's funny in some ways, but I mean, I've been sniffing around this for. I go back to Tony Parsons' cassettes, actually.
Wow. So, yeah, that's a confession, David.
I'm living proof that none of this works.
You've got Tony Parsons cassettes. They're collector's items.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to take them to Antiques Roadshow if they ever come up.
Yeah.
But it's funny looking back. It's only recently that, despite what you're saying about the simplicity of this, etc., that and it's my turn to swear now, that the fucking enormity of this has hit me. What was I thinking of all those years?
I know.
Why was I wanting? And that's it now. I'm just, wow. It's a long, long time.
Yeah.
Who knows what's next? But I'm shitting myself.
Yeah.
In a way that I wasn't before.
Yeah.
It was like a kind of comfort thing,
Yeah, yeah. Well, just like any other, you can make non-duality into a doctrine that is comforting. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can.
So just sharing that in case other people are in the same.
Thanks, David. No, that's a great sharing, because the emptiness, the enormity as you describe it, the boundless, the fact that there is border. This doesn't have any. We can't be contained, can it? It's just edgeless.
Yeah, but for me, and again, this turns into any kind of secondary therapy session on my part, but the fear it's irrational, it's subconscious almost. It's not, I'm thinking about the void and shitting myself. It's just this growing sense of unease. It's interesting in some ways, actually. Interesting.
Yeah.
You can't put your finger on it.
No, there is no putting your finger on it. No.
Even the fear of where it's coming from, actually.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Thanks very much.
No, thank you, David.
If anybody wants the cassettes, they can get in touch.
I love it. Who's still got a cassette player that you could share David's cassettes? It's brilliant. Wow, that's just reminded me. I haven't had a cassette player since I used to record Top of the Pops on a Sunday night. That's what I used to. Yeah, who didn't do that? All the youngsters out there going, what the hell are they on about? Well, that's it. Sunday evening, everyone sat around the radio. You had your radio cassette player. You stuck you got a new cassette on a Saturday, so that you could record the top 20. And it was how skillful you were about using the pause button.
Yeah.
To see if you could make a good tape.
Well, I go back further than that. I used to record the John Peel sessions on a big.
Oh yeah, I love a bit of John Peel. Right, me and David are just going to talk nostalgic radio.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, thanks again, Tim.
No, thanks, David. Yeah, it's lovely what David said. The enormity. And you kind of get used to, I could say that there's a getting used to it, sort of, but you don't, there is no getting used to that. I mean, enormity. Enormity, there isn't a word for everything, is there? There isn't a word that encompasses everything and nothing. Everything that's ever been, everything that is, everything that will be, could be, all possibilities with no possibility. I mean, enormity is a great word, and it is completely overwhelming. And that's why for self can shrink back in fear. And even if it's only, as David said, you can't put your finger on exactly what that fear is or where it comes from, but yeah, enormous, more than enormous. Endless, beginningless, timeless. This is timeless and all time. What? How could that be? Well, it is, isn't it? It just simply is. So there's the appearance of time that's timeless. It's simply not there. It's simply there isn't anywhere else. There isn't anything else. There isn't any more. There isn't any getting any closer. You cannot get any closer. I cannot get any closer. I can't, there isn't a behind, there isn't anything hidden here. And that's what I was always seeking. Tim was always looking. So there's more to this than meets the eye. There's more than meets the eye. And there isn't. What meets the eye is the infinite, the unknowable. What is seen is the unseen. What is heard is the unheard. There isn't a there isn't a mystery. This is absolutely obvious. Don't get me wrong, it's not knowable. So in that sense, you can call it mystery, in that there isn't an answer to it. So in that sense, it remains a mystery. But this isn't mysterious, because what you've called yourself, separate from it, looking at it as mystical or mysterious, that's the illusion. The ordinary is the wonder. Isn't it? Haven't all your moments of wonder, your most blissful, your most wondrous moments of life, the ones that you wanted to go back and recapture, haven't they all been essentially ordinary? And the longing for more, the longing for is my longing. That's, the longing is mine. And there isn't a solution to the longing. The end of the longing is the end of self. And in that, nothing is lost. There is no end of self. It doesn't make any sense. Wonderfully, it doesn't need to. The freedom is in that life doesn't need to make sense anymore. The one who needed it to make sense stopped asking the fucking questions. Those incessant questions. Shut up! And then if I was to say why there's so much peace, it's the absence of questions. And the discussions and the arguments, I mean, all with myself. That's why I speak about this. That's why this is a compassionate message. That's why this is worth talking about. Who is it that needs to know life as if it's not completely known without any knowing? Is there any need to know what is going on, why it's going on, how it's going on, for life to be going on? And the answer is absolutely, very incredibly simply, far too simple for me to ever go near. Of course not. This requires no answers to be just as it is. And in that is included the human being that you have called you, that I have called I. That's perfectly okay, being as fucked up as it is. That's fine. You know, it's not separate from, you know, ordinary life, ordinary human beings. Wonderful life, wonderful human beings. But of course, if you have a headache, take some paracetamol.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, who's that?
Rubes.
Hi, Rubes.
Hi.
Hi.
Do you live in London?
Hi, Rubes. Rubes, you've put troll after your name. It's not a good look.
It's my surname.
Wow, I thought you were being. Sorry, I apologise if it is your given surname. I just thought you were being facetious. Sorry, Rubes, go on. Yeah.
What is facetious?
Sorry.
There's no facetiousness.
I thought it was just
duality.
I thought it was in a play on words, in that, you know, that you.
Oh, but it's always a play on words, isn't it? But when I got this surname, it was long before the internet. So
yeah. Forget I said that, Rubes.
It had a different meaning. I mean, where I came from, there was a shop, a factory. They used to make kids' toys, and was called Troll. Troll. Bom motivo para ser nice to be a child, something like that. So, long story. Well, I asked her, are you in London? Do you live in London?
Near Cambridge.
Cambridge. Well, I was going to ask you if you know any non-duality dating site.
great.
Do you know me? Because that's the question, isn't it? The question that doesn't want to shut up. You know?
Bruce. Well, you could say that, yeah, well, this could, you know, maybe this could substitute for that. There isn't such a thing, Rubes.
Well, they do non-duality dating site.
No, because of course there wouldn't be anyone turn up, would there?
Are you sure? Are you sure?
All the guys here are sex offenders.
I'm not.
The other spiritual sides, they're all boring. The people are just, they are all those dreams. Oh, I'm so eco-conscious, and it's just. I mean, this crew here seems more down to earth. Well, it's not down to earth because everybody's
that's fair.
Away with the fairies. These look, but
yeah,
in a way, you know.
But I don't think that doesn't necessarily make it more likely that you're going to get a date here, though, Rubes.
Oh, I know. Well, we can try, can't we? We can voice or
why not?
Or even,
yeah, as long as you're as long as you're vaguely respectful about it, Rubes, that's fine.
Oh, I'm being respectful, aren't I?
You are, yeah.
Thank you.
It's fine.
Anyway, you don't know. That's all right then.
But anyway, to answer your question, no, I don't know any.
All right then. Thanks.
Plenty of no fish in the sea.
That was good. Thank you.
Nomatch.com. I'm just thinking of other names for non-duality dating sites that I've been on. Tinder, but no firewood. That's enough of that.
Tinder.
Rubes, Rubes has come to find a date. Well, who knows where you'll find love? It's everywhere. Yeah. You can find it in the most surprising places. But he has got a point. Rubes has got a point about you lot who come to see me on a Thursday or a Monday. It's a lovely bunch, and there is a realness about it, which is nice. If that's what you're looking for in a life partner. So what I'd like you to do is all write a little, introductory paragraph for the new dating site.
I suggest not dating anybody from non-duality. They're all nutters.
Very true. If you can steer clear. I mean, you're obviously nuts because you're here. So why would you be looking for another one? Try and find somebody who's vaguely sane.
I know. Find somebody normal.
Yeah. Because somebody's got to earn the money as well, Joey. Good point. Because, of course, you don't want to go to work, so you need somebody who's at least got a sense of me and with some motivation. It's a good point, Joey. There is a bit of a serious side of this. Of course, it can make existing relationships quite tricky, this non-duality thingy. If you get even a whiff of it, it can be very challenging for partners. I could vouch for that. Yeah. Not necessarily, but it wouldn't be surprising. Has anyone else got a question? or something else that they'd like me to talk about other than dating. I think I'm just going to leave that, you know, for each of you, rather than use this as a dating website. Hmm.
I have something.
Hi, Evie.
Hi. Speaking about dating and finding people, I think the challenge for me, at least, is because I like to socialize, but then also the connection to myself somehow suffers because well, because the pain is just too much, you know. It's easier to go and find something outside than kind of be with what's inside, because it's so because it's not pleasant, and also all the basic worthlessness and stuff like that so strong that just feeling like a fuck up, really, then it's easier to hang out and have fun, but actually you know, there's just nothing there.
Well, it's very common for to try and escape the pain by socializing. I did a lot of that.
And healing others and being empathetic and helping them out and
all of that.
And actually what I found was difficult was actually just to settle down with myself. That's the hardest thing, because if I can settle, then there's no problem. Actually, I actually like my company, and I get to resolve all those things that are bothering me and those beliefs, but the actual settling down in itself is the hardest. Kind of, the impulse to go out of myself is so strong.
Because me will try and escape from it. But there's nothing right or wrong about either.
It can just be a long sidetrack or long road, waste a lot of time, or not waste any time, but anyway, kind of.
And it seems like there's a lot of time wasted in the story. But one of the one of the great liberations is that there isn't any, you haven't actually wasted any time, Evie. No. There is no time to get here. It took no time.
That's nice. Took no time.
And whether you're out socializing, you know, and there's seeming a few hours respite from the pain of feeling like a fuck up, and even if there's awareness, I know I'm escaping from it. That's all fine. It's all okay. There is actually no escaping. There's actually no one who's trying to escape, and there is no one who is escaping.
Yeah, actually, even the bad parts can be kind of meaningful, or something. It can feel quite. It can feel the right place to be, even though it's fucked up. Yeah.
If the one who has the desire to escape into socializing and just escaping from self, if that stops or seems to, then of course there is a peace in that.
Yeah.
That's not
Definitely.
that you already know, because you say, well, if I do sit alone, then it seems that like there is resolution, it is okay.
Yeah.
Of course, there isn't actually anything that needs resolving.
Yeah.
There is no fucking up, Evie. Other than you saying it or others saying it. That's it. That's it. That's all that means. Doesn't mean nothing else. It just means that's what fucking up means. Evie saying I fucked up, or someone telling Evie, you fucked up. That's it. And when it is just that, and not really fucking up my life, really fucking up someone else's life, there's the peace that passes all understanding. Don't get me wrong, the stories of fucking up, they can still be told. But without the stories and the telling of them, where is that?
Yeah.
It's only in the stories. And if they're just stories, of course, they don't have weight. It's when they're real, when they're really, absolutely real, really fucked up there. And of course, the realness, the reality of the story comes from the reality of me. If I'm real, then my story is real.
Mm.
And of course, if I'm real, you're real.
Yeah.
And then everything's incredibly heavy. Wow, life is a serious business for me. It's a matter of life and death. And fuck, have I got to work hard to make it right, to make it work.
Yeah, I get lost in that one. I take it too seriously.
It's such...
Oh, no, not seriously. I just take it seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, yeah. Well, it's a serious
and then
business.
There's drama.
My life is a serious business. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I tell you what, if you start to take it a little less seriously, the other me's that know Evie, they're going to go, what the fuck's happened to Evie? She's not taking life seriously. She's really fucking up now. If you start to laugh at life a little bit, the other me's are not going to like it. And they'll try and drag you back into the seriousness of the story.
Mm.
And you need to sort your life out, Evie, and start acting and realize the seriousness of your action. Of course, there's no end to the number of selves who will be telling you that. There's always a long queue outside your door waiting to tell you that that you fucked up. Just in case you forgot.
I'd like to ask a question.
Yeah, sure.
Do those incidents when people start to kind of, okay, this is just imagination.
Yeah.
Just a picture came to my mind that if I start to kind of not take it so seriously, not go into the drama, maybe the drama will get even more, you know, sucky and, you know, even more magnetic, and the trials will be harder and stuff like that. Something like that came to my mind.
Well, there's a story, Evie. You just told me.
Yeah, that's a that's a that's a torture. That's a nightmare.
Well, there's a story that me would tell. So, of course, without me, it would just be much worse because I'm the one who's making it just about bearable.
Mm.
And without me and at least I'm trying to sort my life out. At least I'm trying to keep it together. Yeah. You might just laugh at it, and then you might just laugh at the arrogance of self is unbelievable. I mean, it is the arrogance of self. That's really what we're talking about. Freedom from that arrogance.
Yeah.
I'm in control. I'm managing this.
Yeah.
I mean, how?
Yeah, but in control of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
And that if I wasn't in control, then it would just be absolutely Armageddon. It would be chaos. It would be anarchy. The whole universe would collapse in on itself. I mean, yeah, planets would collide. Galaxies would spin out, and yeah, right. You never did anything. You never controlled anything.
Oh my gosh.
You never had anything. You don't have anything.
Mm.
You don't manage anything. Even if there is...
if I somehow let it slip, if I let that control handle slip, then everything will fall apart, and it will be hell. You know, something terrible will happen.
Yeah, I tell you what, the terrible thing would be having. There'd be a lot of sitting on the couch and drinking tea and just going, oh, this is cool. Thank God I don't have all that shit anymore. That's how terrible it would be. And all the others would go, Evie's really, she's lost it completely now. And you'd go, yeah, isn't it lovely? Probably. I don't know that. I've just made that up as a story. But
yeah. That sounds nice.
There isn't a way it will be, Evie. I mean, that's all for me. This isn't going to be a way in the future. You know, there isn't a future. One of the things that me can't stand, that self fears most, is the absence of a future. If it is obvious that I'm the one who's made up a future, and we've all colluded together with all the me's together, and we've got this collective collusion about the future of humanity. Now, on a smaller scale, it's the future of my family, the future of my relationship, the future of my job, my career, the future of all the other me's that you come into contact with. And then on a bigger scale, it's the future of our country. Then it's the future of the earth. Then it's the future. We tend not to go out into the solar system or into the universe, but it's only a matter of time before me does that and wants to control the whole universe and manage that and keep that, you know, because of course the universe would be terrible without me. It needs me, you know, the world needs me. It doesn't.
Yeah.
To say you are surplus to requirements is an understatement. There's no, you're just not needed. You're just not. And me says I'm essential. I say, well, I'm essential. I'm the one who's holding it all together, this life. It's a lie, you're not. This doesn't need any holding together. This doesn't need any management. Wow.
Wow.
So,
thanks, Evie. Evie,
so,
did you want to say something else, Evie?
No, that's it.
Thanks.
Thanks.
So a little bit of an update on the non-duality dating. There is on Facebook, there's a non-duality dating page, and it only has one single post from 2018 that says, "Is anybody there?"
Is that true?
Yeah.
And there was no reply, of course.
Oh, you can't see it.
There's no, yeah, no, but there's no reply to, "Is there anyone there?" Oh, that poor lonely bastard sitting there waiting for a reply. Yeah, the future of non-duality, there is no future in that. There's no future in non-duality dating. Forget it. Oh dear. Or maybe there is, and this could be a lucrative sideline. No, not really. What's in the chat? What's the time? Oh, 5 minutes. Has anyone else got anything they'd like to say? I'll read a couple of the things in the chat, shall I? Oh, Rubes has come up with Tinder, which I have to say, Rubes, is pretty fucking good. I'm quietly impressed by that, Rubes. Yeah. So there's some hope for you, yeah, in stand-up comedy. Tinder's good. Maybe that's what I'll have to name this. Welcome to Tinder, the non-duality dating site for no one. Question, does true love...
You love that, don't you? Because it's got your name in it, Tim.
All right, Anne, don't you do, actually. Of course I do. He knows me too well. Question for Tim, does true love escape or dissolution into another exist? Ooh. Well, that's pretty straightforward, isn't it? Who asked that, Ben? Well, yeah, I mean, there you have it. Where most selves seek love is in the other. And of course, falling in love, I think falling in love is a beautiful chemical thing that is wondrous. But the problem with it is, of course, self is looking for completion, the other to complete me, to make me whole. I'm searching for wholeness and I'll find it in you. Well, that's a pretty heavy burden to put on the other, isn't it? And surprise, surprise, they can't live up to that. You look to the other to make you feel whole and complete. Poor bastards who you put that upon. Yeah. But I think the falling in love, I mean, nothing to do with, you know, as unconditional love. I mean, it's all the same really, but the falling in love, well, that beautiful insanity, yeah, that's undeniable. I think it's best if we called it chemical lust. That would be closer. But of course, on top of that, then there's me's longing for completion, and that's put on the other, and that's doomed to failure, isn't it? I mean, it's a terrible burden, especially if it's mutual. You know, you're both looking for the other to complete the other. There is no other. There's other human beings, but there aren't any other me's. No me, no other me's. That's it. It's not fucking complicated, this. This is pretty straightforward. Human beings doing what they do. No one doing what they're doing. That's it. Wonderful. Just the same as everything else. You don't look at a butterfly and go, don't like him much. He's a little bit full of himself, that one. That one over there, look at him. Oh, he's lovely. He's very at peace with himself. I can see that. And yet with human beings, that's what we do. That's what me does. Romantic chemical live always seems very short-lived and disappointing. Yeah, well, it's not disappointing while it's full on though, Ben, is it? It's fucking brilliant. So this message hasn't got anything to say about that, but of course, other than looking for completion in the other, is what me does, and I can't help it. I feel incomplete. Oh, there's another me over there. She could complete me. And I'll make up all lovely fantasy stories about soulmates and the one. The one, isn't that? Wow, what a lovely story. Dreadful, dreadful story. Beautifully dreadful. There isn't a one. There isn't any one. So Evie says, well, good love could wipe away your eye. Well, well, you could say love, but that's not that kind of love, Evie. You know, love has 1,000 faces, and the being in love, you know, that personal lust love, in love. Of course, that's love. You could just say everything is love. But not that in loveness. No, nothing wipes away your eye, Evie. There is no eye to wipe away. You don't need to get rid of an eye. There isn't one. You can't get rid of it. So thanks everyone for coming. Lovely to see you all again. So you could all unmute now and say we'll have a collective dating app goodbye.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Rubes, for coming up with.
Thanks, Tim. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tim.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Tim.
Remember, when in London, give me
Love you. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
When in London, give me a ring, all right, you guys.
Bye. Love you long time.
Oh, I could say if you feel it's been worth anything, which of course it's not, but if you feel it has and you'd like to donate something, then you can at paypal.me, Tim Cliss. Thanks. Oh, and if you haven't bought the book yet, then of course you
got it.
You need to do that.
What is it called? What's the name?
And by the way, if you
we got it. It's here.
Oh, there it is. Nina's got one there. And if you bought it,
what's the point in buying it?
If you bought it and you liked it, then please write.
It's Tim Kliss by This Deafening Silence.
Got it for Kindle. No?
Next week, hopefully, I'm going to have a new page on my website, Deafening Silence. Yeah, milk it. Why not? And yeah, so a new page where I'll have an events page, because I thought I really love the website. I don't know what you think of it. If you haven't had a look, have a look. Tim Kliss this. Yes, and
very nice.
It has got my name in it. Yeah, it's going to have an events page, so I can have, so all the links will be on there, so you won't have to search around like you do at the moment. So hopefully that will be up next week. One good thing is all these videos, all the recordings now go straight from YouTube straight to the website. Thanks to the lovely Dimitri, who built the website for me very kindly. Yeah, so hope to see you on Monday or Thursday or both. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.